I've recently bought a home in Estonia, and it's almost or over 100-year-old home. And I always wanted to have it smart. And I've started adding HomeKit accessories. So I've added some external camera, I added some internal camera, so you should see me here if I go to the preview. So it's live, it records to the iCloud, everything works awesome. Then I've started adding this like injection switches. So for example, I have this lamp here, the salt lamp, and the switch here. And this switch is controlled by the camera. So if I go to Isa's room, so my wife's room, and I click salt lamp, it basically turns on and off. So this is a Sonoff, and Sonoff doesn't work with HomeKit, but in Poland I found someone making adaptation, like upgrading the firmware to an official one that works with HomeKit. And the same guy sells these switches, Sonoff switches, and they work brilliantly because they're almost drop-in replacement. So if I go to the dining room here, and if I press the switch, you can see the main light turns on and off, and I can always control it from the iPhone or from Siri. So the idea is to have scenes and automations. If everyone leaves home, all the lights here should turn off. Install one. What you will need, if you're lucky, you will only need to replace the switch. So we will be replacing this single switch that turns a light in the bedroom, and later I will also replace the double switch. And what I mean by if you're lucky, that means here you have cable going with the power to the switch, and the switch connects or disconnects output cable that goes to the light. And what you need additionally is neutral cable, because if you open the switches that I have here, this is double one and this is single one. If you take the switch, then if we compare it to classic switch, this is a double one, what we will do for demonstration. So the dummy or basic switches, as I call them, they're really easy in like how they work. They're really simple because the power goes in here and power goes out here. And if the switch is on, this cable is always connected, so the light always has power. If the switch is off, the cable is always disconnected, so the light doesn't have power. So they don't need neutral, but the light needs it. So what happens is that the light in the ceiling always gets a neutral and positive from here, where here you usually get the only positive. The problem with the smart switches is that, as you can see, there is light in and a line out, but there is also neutral in, and this is because the switch needs to be powered by itself. This needs power, and as you know from school, the power needs a closed circuit, which means you need power in and you need neutral, in this case power like going back and circulates. And the problem with my switches, you will see, is that I don't have neutral power. I don't have neutral power here, but I'm lucky because what I have this like box on top, and this box will be enough. First things first, always go to the breaker here, and in my case valgus is lights in Estonian. So I turn the breaker off, all the lights at home are off. Well, this one goes from the normal socket, so it will be on, and we can validate, always validate, turn it on and off, and the light doesn't turn on and off. For all the other switches, I've run a cable This is the old cable from double switch. So in this example, in this switch, the power was coming in here. This was giving the power, and this was taking the power from the switch back to the light, one light and second light. And that was enough. This was just basically like a small circuit that the switch closes and opens. But we don't have neutral. So what I was doing, I was running a 4 cable in the cable. So this big cable has 4 wires, so 4 wire cables. And in this case, I believe there will be 2 wire cable because it's single switch, and we'll need to replace it with 3 wire cable. I will reuse the old one I have here. So let's start working. You dismount the switch by taking this panel off. We won't be needing that. And in my case, this plastic thingy, you squeeze on both sides, and so this black plastic comes off. Then the frame will come off if it's not glued. Yeah, so it was glued, or not glued, but yeah, the painted over. So the frame goes off, and we have bare switch that still would work if the power would be on. Let's unscrew it. We will need, well, a screwdriver, the knife for the new cable to take out the isolation. This is cable stripper to strip the endings of the cables. Some pliers, maybe some other screwdrivers. It may be needed. This is also cool because what we'll find, we'll need to find neutral cable in the top box, and if the top box uses only is connecting 3 cables, we'll just switch it and we can add another cable that connects the neutral. You will see later. Let's unscrew first the screws that are holding the whole switch in the wall. And on different switches, I also had screws here that were holding it here, so you had to go a little bit diagonally and then pull it. This one I see doesn't have it, so this one will be pulled. We need to unscrew it more, and this comes off just like that. Did we get lucky? Oh, this is double. I think so. Wait. So this is not double switch, but it could be double, I guess. They have run 3 cables to it, so we're lucky. We don't need new cable. This brown one is the power in, and these 2 is the power out. We'll connect these 2 cables on the top, and we'll use the blue one as a negative one. And yeah, there is a bunch of cabling. My guess is that some of the cables here are also responsible for cables on the socket there, this socket to the bathroom. So we will not be closing this socket, this box fast. We'll do 2 switches at once. And let me try to understand how all of it works, and let me find the cable that I'm interested in. So we've connected the blue one to all the other blue ones. Now we're left with this is the light. This is the light bulb output, and this here is the second light output, and this is the power from the switch. And previously 2 cables were just going from the switch here and there. Now we need this one cable to output to the 2 cables. So this is a double connector. We'll replace it with triple connector. This cable here is output power from our switch, and this will output the power to these 2 cables which go to the light in the bedroom. The blue one is connected to the zero negative cable, and the brown one is connected to the power from the breakers. Remember that, because now we'll connect the cables on the bottom, we'll connect the switch. There are different switches, you don't have to use this on off. I like them because they were fairly cheap. Without the guarantee though, because the shop that I can recommend in Poland is monasmart.pl, is upgrading the switches with their own software. And as I said previously, this one is negative, which is called zero sometimes. So let's double check. Line in on the left side. This is a little bit too long. No worries. Well, you can take the pliers, or I have a cutter in this tool. And this tool is awesome. If you're running new cables, you can strip the endings. But what we really need is just cutting it a little bit off. This one will also shorten a little bit off. It's only so the isolation doesn't stick out. And to be honest, I have no idea if this is needed. I'm not an electrician. I'm a software programmer. So yeah, don't treat me as an expert here. But I like to play with stuff. I've built my own camper van with 12 volts. But well, the 12 volts won't kill you if you're doing anything after the breakers with a maximum few amps. But the 230 volt can kill you. That's why you turn off the breakers, and you always remember this can kill you. I was sure that this breaker turns this off. We validated with the switch. If you're not sure, like today I was switching a switch that the light didn't work and I had to replace the light. I had no idea how to validate. I take the meter and validate it if the power is running, and by meter I mean volt meter like that, which you switch to the volt with the steel tilde. That means it's AC power, and it's 300 because it should be always more than the power running. I have 230 volts here, and you just check if the connect to negative, connect to the positive, to the phase cable, see if this shows zero or not. If it's not zero, you didn't turn off the breakers, the correct breakers at least. And now time for the big test. We'll turn the breakers on. The breaker is not switching off, which is brilliant. That's what we really need. And let's see. We have a light here. Remember, this is under power, so pay attention to not touch anything in the back. And this won't work yet, because this switch I need to connect. Come on. So I need to connect to its Wi-Fi. And once I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, I have a link, local link, that will open the control panel. And in this control panel, I select my Wi-Fi network and I type in the password. Password's in, I click save. Then the switch it says OK. The switch will reset itself, so I can switch back to my normal Wi-Fi, or the iPhone will switch by itself. The switch should start working now. We go to the Home app. We select the room we want to configure it at. Where is the bedroom? Which is the bedroom, add accessory. And I don't have the code to scan, but it will show up here. Yeah, it's uncertified because it's custom software. I remember the code for the specific one is always the same for all the switches. This takes like a minute or two. And yes, switch location is bedroom, and I will call it main because it's a main light. It's a light, continue no automations for now, and it shows up here and I can control it. So we'll close the switch on. In this case, what is really missing is that on other switches I had the screws here and there, or on the sides there is missing holes. So I need to screw in some screws so the switch goes on and nicely hangs from the wall. To do that, we disconnect the power once again, because it's all live. You can get killed here. So once again the switch off. And I think these ones will be perfect. Yeah, you see, this goes in, then moves and doesn't go out. We leave them a little bit off the wall. And you can do them on the top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter. Oh yeah, both are in. And the switch is back on the wall. Now we turn the power to enjoy our brand new smart light switch from Sonoff, programmed by monasmart.pl. It's not an advertisement, I just like what they're offering. You lose the guarantee, but well, at least it works with the HomeKit. Aftermath of the switch installation, the switch is nicely operating, although I've put the tape on it, and the switch will also turn on the bed lights underneath the bed. And this is all configured due to HomeKit. The switches under bed are totally different installation. They're not connected physically with the main switch, but I was able to connect them in the app itself. Now, whenever I leave home, all the lights turn off. When I enter the home, the entrance lights and the lights I configured turn on. Hey Siri, turn off all the lights.